Hi, I'm Jack Snellen, and I am answering question 2, how effective is the combination of your main product and ancillary texts? We came up with the idea for our music video a lot earlier than the idea for our digipack artwork and magazine artwork and things like that. So we didn't really have a lot of research into how digipacks and artworks look, because we focused a lot on our music video. However, when we did start looking at into how artists are brought across and how they are made instantly recognisable, because they have running motifs throughout their music videos, their album artwork, their advertisements, and any other promotion that they can manage, really. Originally for our album artwork, we researched the genre, really, of the song that we were doing, which was indie pop, twee indie pop, and we sort of looked at successful bands of our generation, I suppose, of that genre, of bands like Vampire Weekend, Waves, Best Coast, and we noticed that through that genre a very popular idea was using just vintage photographs. If the bands use vintage photographs of just seemingly random events, they don't have to be related to anything, really. They obviously share the same demographic and audience that Good Shoes would share, so it would be automatically an effective marketing ploy. But we also found that other bands, for example, one is Manic Street Preachers, of a slightly older generation, maybe not of our time, with their most recent album Postcards from a Young Man, incorporates that idea of just Polaroid or vintage photograph again. So it shows that even bands not of the genre or not of this time are seeing that as an effective marketing technique and employing it themselves. When looking into the indie genre further as well, we found that the Smiths, a band from the 80s, who were one of the first, I suppose, indie bands, were using the idea of film stills and photographs in their album artwork 20-30 years ago. So it's clearly been a tried and tested effective method of marketing and artist branding, especially in that genre, because it's been reused and redone by so many bands that it's clearly very effective. So initially we went out and did a photo shoot, and we just went with the vintage idea, and we just did a photo shoot with the band members, but we had to change. In the end, we changed that idea from the initial shoot because we didn't think it related to it enough. Because the idea of a music video and album artwork is almost so the two relate, they correspond with each other. A good example of this is the artwork for Hurt's Wonderful Life. Hurt's are a band with a very striking image, where they dress the same in every single video. Generally, I think they dress like that. And their artwork for the single Wonderful Life actually features a still from the music video. So when you see that music video or that artwork, instantly you'll be able to recognise that that is from the music video. Obviously the two correspond. Also, looking at this, we found that bands like Hurt and the XX, again the XX are another band who have a very bold image and a symbol which runs throughout. So we went with the idea of a font. So we chose a font that would run throughout our advertisements and our artwork, linking them all together. Because if you didn't, it would be very difficult for the audience to be able to put two and two together. Like the band Hurt and the XX, especially the XX, the band almost take on a sort of character. I mean, the XX they all wear black continually. it's a running motif throughout all their work, so they all wear black. They all have that very distinct symbol in all of their artwork and videos. So it sort of brings them across as these characters that are quite dark, moody. So we wanted to run with sort of bringing the idea that the band had a sort of approachable character, a light-hearted character, because the music was quite light and jumpy. So we wanted to make it seem like the band were approachable, light-hearted. I think the initial sort of inspiration for that idea was looking at Weezer, whose videos for El Scorcho and Buddy Holly are all very, like the music, they're not very intense, they're not very serious, and they just like to make fun, which I think makes the band much more approachable. So we wanted to sort of do that with Good Shoes, because their music isn't intense, so we just wanted to make them seem as approachable and, you know, happy as possible. So with the album artwork that we finally finished, with a few of the designs we had, there's a lyric in the song which says, "I watch TV because I'm lazy," so we had a photo of the band inside a TV. This was a quite good idea, however we didn't think it was quite effective because it sort of shrunk the image, couldn't see the band properly, and it didn't really go with the idea of a vintage photograph. So in the end we sort of went with that kind of, ended up like almost like a bit of a pun for the artwork, where we got a picture of cowboy shoes or Good Shoes and just stuck the band's name over it in the specific font which we chose to use throughout each of them, as good marketing do. When creating our magazine advert, we looked at quite ones through in popular music magazines such as Mojo and Q, and we just sort of took the template of that and went with it ourselves, because obviously they're successful templates. So we used the font that we've been using throughout throughout our range of products, and then we put ratings in to obviously almost entice people to buy it. And with the image we use the same background colour that we use in the album artwork, and all we did for the image was, instead of using the album artwork, we used just a still from the music video, or well, not still, a photograph taken at the set of the music video. So it sort of directly interlinks the three, with the image from the music video being employed into the magazine, the font from the magazine being employed in the album artwork, and then it just sort of interlinks them all very nicely. At the bottom of the magazine advert we've put the record label, obviously, and then we put the platforms that it's available on. So we put on Spotify and iTunes, because in the modern age now, music is consumed very differently to how it would be 10, 20, even 10 years ago. I mean, with Spotify and iTunes, people can download things straight away. So we wanted to make the band seem friendly, up to date, because they are a modern band. We wanted them to, because their demographic of teenagers to young adults would probably be very aware of these platforms and probably go there first before going out to look for CDs. So we included the Spotify logo and the iTunes logo so that people would automatically know where to go. We looked into different ways of marketing our band, and one interesting way which we found, or two interesting ways, was one, an iTunes advert, which was just the iTunes advert was simply just an image just put on the menu, on the iTunes menu in the window, because that's what the adverts look like. However, with Spotify, if you're not a premium member, every so often you get these adverts, like these audio adverts. Statistics say that 1.1 million people aged 20 to 29 use Spotify in the UK alone. So that's 1.1 million potential customers listening to that advert. So we created a Spotify advert that was basically glowing. It included reviews from other people and featured the song going on the background. So once people heard that advert, that was almost like a snippet of the song, like a sample. So with 1.1 million people aged 20 to 29 using Spotify, that's specifically the band's demographic that we were looking at. So it just seemed logical, really, to look into modern ways of advertising and promoting our band, because if you're not continually keeping up to date with modern trends and how people are consuming media, then you're not capitalising on the profits that could be made. I guess finally, in a nutshell, we wanted to combine all elements of marketing and advertising and keep one running motif going throughout. So we had font, image, the way the band themselves are portrayed, in terms of personality, and it runs throughout the Spotify advert. It runs throughout the album artwork, the album artwork, the advert, magazine advert, and the music video itself. The magazine advert itself, and then we also branched out into modern technologies and ways of distributing and marketing our band, because at the end of the day we live in a modern society, and specifically the targeted audience for our band was of what would be known as digital natives, so people who are very aware of things like Spotify and iTunes and who are very adept at using them. So we had to be continually looking. Basically, we had to be on top of our game, I suppose would be the term. We had to be making sure that we were covering the all our bases. So we had to make sure that we were covering all of our bases instead of just looking at the obvious ones, which would be the advert and the artwork. Okay, thank you very much.